of course you're going to get screwed if you lie. But if if you are getting it because you actually truly need it, then you're not going to get screwed.
And as a comedian, we're on a different planet anyway, because it's always the honor system, right? Like,
yeah.
Realistically, it's always sort of like, what do you say you made? What's your story? What's your fairy tale for how much cash?
I remember one time I went to go get my taxes done, and this was like the year after I quit my job selling advertising, where I made really good money. And I went in with my mom because we got our taxes done by the same person. And he looked at my income. He's like, so last year you made like 80 something thousand, and this year you made 30,000. Like, what happened?
Are you having a mental health crisis?
So I just said, I'm just following my dreams now, because that's like when I quit that job when I was getting more comedy.
Yeah. As an accountant, you're probably aware that dreams cost about 50 grand a year.
Oh, dreams are fucking expensive.
That's the cost of a dream.
Well, technically, I don't think I even make money. Well, now maybe I do, but when I first started like claiming stuff, I would say I put more in than what I was making.
Oh, you just wanted to look like a hero at the bank? Because that's where it really kills you, is when you go to the bank.
No, I mean, like, I was putting in more, like, I was probably spending more money than I was making to do comedy.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I mean. Oh, yeah. No, the banks are the worst, because the banks, like, I remember I did a show in Victoria, and then the next day, I had to go put my check in the bank, and I went to this place. Anyway, I went to this one bank. I can't remember why I had to go to the teller, but I went to the teller, and it was a guy, and he's like, oh my God, I saw your show last night. And I was like, oh, great. This guy's going to see how much money I make and how much money is in my bank account. And I gave him the check, and he goes, that's all you make for that? And I was like, and then he like made a face when he saw my balance. And I was like, but I mean, like, when I watched Just for Laughs when I was a kid, I thought those people were millionaires.
Oh, yeah, I thought they were rich.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
I thought they were millionaires. I thought, like, they had the greatest lives ever. Little did I know that the first time I was on the Winnipeg Comedy Fest, it was on a TV in a bar, and I had no money in my bank account.
Oh, yeah, I would have thought Mike McDonald was one of the rich, like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I thought Mike McDonald, I had no idea that he lived in Los Angeles with his wife in a small home with 13 cats. Like, I didn't know that.
Of course not. Because, like, there was still, like, a mystery about the entertainment industry. But then once you get into it, you're like, oh my God. And then you realize that even actors that are in movies are broke.
So, yeah, I mean, it's exactly like sports, where if you're at the top end, you are getting just like $1,000 a second.
Yeah.
$1,000 a second. And, but yeah, right under that underneath that, in the 99% is just a lot of struggle. I'm just going to go, because I was wondering if both of you would be willing to be character references for me, because I'm looking to get a job as a garbage man.
Yeah, I'll be your character reference for sure.
Okay.
Who am I? Am I being myself, or I have to pretend to be someone else?
I would like you guys to be actors.
Okay.
You're going to be Francine Delanore. And you're a retired Vietnam veteran who lives in, like, Delaware.
Living in Canada.
No, you're in America.
Oh, I'm in America.
And I used to babysit for you.
Okay.
You always and then tell a story that vaguely makes me sound like I might have been a predator. You know what I mean? Like when Waste Management calls you and says, "Hey, what about this Sean LeComber guy?" Just say, "Oh, he was good with the kids." Like, some people said too good, but no one could ever find any proof.
Are you really gonna try and be a garbage man?
Yeah, I thought of, why not? It actually pays okay. The problem
pays really well.
The problem is they have, like, inward facing camera, like all their cameras. I looked at whenever you, like, look at jobs, you always look at their reviews And it's the best to look at like review, like just these people that used to work there that are just like, it's the fucking worst. Like,
Yeah.
because they have inward facing cameras. Apparently that's the worst part, is that there are cameras on you all day.
Oh, so you can't like pick your nose or.
Well, you've been in showbiz, you know what that's like.
Yeah, you can't even pick your nose on stage. Yeah, exactly. You're on the clock. People are just looking at you, and then if you know, you come back to the shop and they're like, what was with you today? We were looking at you all day and you just had this weird look on your face. But okay, so Jim, so you're going to be a lady in America who's a Vietnam vet who like makes me sound like kind of a pedophile.
Predator.
And then Jim is going to be, he's going to be trans. Because I think it would be funny because the waste management people would just be like, hello, like trying so hard to be progressive about the interview situation. And then you just say horrible things about me. Like, he's the worst. You know, I used to work with him. We worked together for a while. He was such an asshole. If you hire him, you're fucking crazy. Because I think that's what people should be doing more of. As comedians, we should be doing more of this.
Yeah.
Fake applying for jobs and then giving them character references that make us seem evil.
That's really funny. If it wasn't so much work, I would say that should be like our segment every week. We'll apply for a job and record the phone calls, but that's a lot of work.
And then the third one will be me pretending to be somebody else. And if they call me, I'll be like, how did you get to call 3? You know, like this whole thing was a setup. I was a pedophile. In the first call, I was a pedophile. In the second call, I was a terrible employee. And you're still making the third call?
So when do you
when do I start? Exactly.
They got to check all of the references. You never know.
Yeah, you got to go through all 3.
Are you holding your lamp on you?
Nope. It's off. It's just like my mic stand for podcasts.
Oh, I was like, are you trying to use the light? I was like, what is he doing? He looked like a really bad boom operator.
The mic technique.
Is that the only way you can do the podcast, if you pretend you're holding a microphone?
No, I don't have to. This is the first time I've done it. But do you remember like working with comedians that thought mic technique was like half of comedy? Remember those idiots? There was always people that were like, you got to work on your mic technique. Like, mic technique? What the fuck are you talking about? It's like a garbage man who throws the bags in slightly weird. You got to work on your toss. Your toss is fucking terrible. You know, the cameras see everything and your toss is weak. But like there was comedians that like you always knew a comedian was bad or just like a technically sound word magician if they cared about like how their microphone was held. You know?
What is your mic technique?
I don't have a technique.
I don't think I do either. I think I just hold it.
You just hold it. There you go. Hey, how's it going, guys?
There is something that does drive me bananas is when it's a corded mic. And whoever is using it has it wrapped in a hoop and has it here. It just drives me nuts. It's probably fine for everyone else, but I just want to throttle people when I see that.
Sometimes I turn it into a noose and put it around my neck. And
well, I mean, that's funny.
Yeah. No, I never had. It was weird when, yeah, and you also get a lot of people that'll say like, we got you a cordless one so you can like walk around and you can just walk all over. You can walk. Like, oh, thanks. I can, you know, reach my creative end stage, being able to like wander in the crowd in Rimby.
Do you remember the first comic you ever saw that used a headset mic?
They were almost always improvisers. I
remember the person that I first saw do it like live was Christopher Titus.
Oh yeah.
Remember he came to the comic strip and he acted like that stage was a giant theater stage.
Yeah, I remember watching them, and it's weird seeing people do hands-free comedy where they're
don't get it.
Look at me, I can move them both.
If I get on stage and I'm not holding a mic, I don't know what to do. I don't like doing mic-free comedy. Like I hate it because I don't know. I have to always hold.
Yeah. You get like like whenever you're doing a show where like the sound doesn't work or whatever, and you're like, why am I even using this? It's making very little difference. Isn't that correct, crowd?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But like, I just don't like it.
Yeah, but and then the crowd will give you like a little yeah when you go micless, when you're like, fuck it. Fuck it, we're doing it live, you know? And then the crowd will give you like a 30-second sort of like, he's going off the fucking rails, man. He's going off script. He fucking blew up the teleprompter and it's fucking showtime. But then about a minute and a half later, you realize like my voice hurts, you know, like I'm having to talk too loud. And then you'll have like a female heckler like, you're bad. And you can't overpower her.
The thing that I hated about when I started comedy, that I found out about comedy, was that the comics that do that off the top of my head crowd work, a lot of them actually just have this same crowd work and it just works with every crowd. Like the first time I saw Mike Bullard, I was so excited. I loved Mike Bullard before I got into comedy. I didn't know anything about comedy at all. But then I was like, oh, I got to go see him. But it was like all the same questions from his special, but just like the crowd. I'm like, I guess there is a skill to that. Like there is a skill to that, to making it work every time.
That's the worst when the crowd is there and they came to the show because they saw your special and now they see you doing the crowd work they saw on the special on them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, you already did this. Like, hey, so what do you do for a living, ma'am? You already did this. I already asked you what you did for a living. No, I saw your special and you talked to a woman just like me and asked what she did. I know what you're going to do. I'm going to hesitate and you're going to be like, you don't know what the fuck you do for a living? So I'm not playing this game, Mike Bullard. Do your shtick. Do your routine. Just do your jokes. These are my jokes.
Like I said, there is a skill to that, to making it work every time. Yeah. But it was sort of like a disappointment for me to get like, oh, he just did that all off the top of all of it.
I used to watch his show, like his talk show, and he always had like an opening monologue, and I always used to die because every single time it'd be like, hey, where are you from? And it's like somewhere in Ontario, and it's like, oh, you work at the factory? And everyone's like, ha ha ha, he probably does. Every time. Oh, I'm from Hamilton. Oh, you work the fucking factory? Yeah. Yes.
That's why, like Bullard. It's funny that Bullard became like a household name with his show because it was like universally panned, right? Like,
yeah,
I loved that show.
You didn't.
I always thought it was, but the problem with that show was so obviously Canadian.
You must have loved things very easily at that age then.
Well, I was younger. I was probably like 12 or something when it came out.
So you could kiss walls and say, I love this fucking fuse panel.
Yeah, I still had like optimism and positivity flowing through my veins.
Because the reason Bullard's show didn't work is because like crowd work is kind of mean by nature. Like there's kind of a, and Bullard's a very funny guy and a talented guy, but like just by its nature, crowd work is mean. So when you all of a sudden you look at that guy and go, oh, he could do a talk show. Like look at how easily he talks. But the talking is all like, look at that hair, look at that shirt, look at that nice shoes. And then all of a sudden you're interviewing somebody who's like, you know, done a show, done something, and they're just promoting some new piece of shit CBC special. And Mike Bullard's out there doing his crowd work on them, which is like, yeah, look at this. Yeah, I saw the movie. It was all right, I guess. You know, you just can't do that. But he was on the air forever. Like that show was on the air for like a fucking decade.
Yeah, it was on the air for a long time. And then they had Strombolopolis, and then they gave up.
The highlight of Bullard's show was when Tom Green came on and put like a dead raccoon on his desk.
Oh yes.
Did you guys ever see that one?
Yes. Didn't somebody puke or something?
Mike Bullard vomited. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was a long dead raccoon. It wasn't like a correctly deceased raccoon. It was like it was decomposing on Mike Bullard's desk.
Oh my God.
So he put a partially, like the raccoon only had a tuft of hair left.
Oh.
You know, like
I wonder if that's on YouTube. I bet you that is on YouTube.
Yeah. No, it's on YouTube. And then Mike Bullard wrenches like because of a reeky fucking, because Tom Green was insane. I mean, Tom Green invented a whole genre I mean, I know there
I
was guys
loved him.
doing,
I
but
was obsessed.
oh, he was.
I loved Tom Green. Like when he got his MTV show, it wasn't airing up here. So I had a cousin that lived in Louisiana, and I had her have a friend like tape every episode for me and mail it out for me.
It was absolutely fucking insane, and I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
every second of it. Like, but I don't even know if I've talked about this on a previous podcast, but the shit on the microphone thing, like putting human shit on a microphone and then asking people questions about local politics. With a CTV, like, so you have a CTV camera and you have like CTV, you know, like microphone, and you're like, what do you think of the recent decision to ban this in malls? And then, so they already have an opinion they want to give, and they already feel like the situation is completely legitimate, and then they just can't. And then they see human shit, and they're like, well, but you know, like they can't overcome the fact that they already feel like they're on television. Like, I'm on television, like people are going to watch this, like my family's going to see this, like they already have this look of daddy's on TV, and then so it takes them about 30 seconds to realize it's like, wait a minute, a real reporter wouldn't have feces on the microphone that reeks and is right in my mouth.
One time I met Bubbles from the trailer park, and I thought he was, because he didn't have his glasses on, I thought he was Glenn Humplick.
Oh, wow.
I thought he was Glenn Humplick. He's like, no, I'm not Glenn Humplick.
Jesus Christ.
But oh my God, the Tom Green show is like, that man deserves way more credit than he gets. He's the reason Jackass became something. He was the first kind of like YouTubey kind of like gonzo style comedian. You know, I don't know, I can't think of someone before him that did what he did. Like maybe Andy Kaufman in like I'm a Smarter Way. I don't know, but
yeah, there was audio, like there was definitely like, you know, people that did prank phone calls. Like,
yeah,
there was a lot of that at that time. There was a lot of like, oh, listen to these prank phone calls, ha ha ha. But like, I think from my memory, he was the first one to do it on television, like actually going up to people and not afraid to, you know, have people angry. Like that's, you know, people are going to be so mad at you all the time, and he just didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he was and I'm sorry, but Freddy Got Fingered is one of the best movies of all time. I know people think it's fucked up and it's weird, but it's so funny. It's so funny.
And he still does well. Like, he still cashes in on being Tom Green. He does.
And he's been doing stand-up a lot. And I worked with him twice, once at the comic strip, and he was kind of a jerk, and I was really disappointed. And then I'm like, well, maybe he's just having a bad week. And then I worked with him at the Vancouver Yuck Yucks, and he was so super nice. And I'm like, okay, whew. Because I really like think he's probably one of the greatest comedians of all time in his own way. You know what I mean? Like, there was nobody like him. He did shit that was like, if he did that now, he'd be canceled in a second. Like, if he put dead animals on television, PETA would come for him. If he, you know, the way he abused milk bags.
If you watch the clip on YouTube, it's really good, because you can see Bullard knows what's happening. Bullard's like, oh, no. What's in the fucking bag, man?
Yeah.
Like, you know, Tom Green comes out on studio with a bag with it looks like it's filled with, like, you know, meat. Oh. And you just know this is going to get poured on your desk, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, so yeah, I love Tom Green. Now I'm gonna go down like a Tom Green YouTube hole.
I watched a Joe Biden documentary yesterday, and it was hilarious how stuttering was explained in the 1950s. Like, so why? In the documentary they're talking about, like, so he was like, in 1955 he was like 8 years old or something. Like, he's crazy, like he's old. So and he had a bad stutter. He got bullied about it. And they're like, well, this is how stuttering was dealt with in 1955. And then they show a video of a guy explaining stuttering, a doctor, and he's like, well, retard talk is caused by, and it's like, what the fuck did he just say? Like, literally it was like, retard talk. And then the causes were, your mom drinks, your dad's weird, like literally, like your bad parenting, the first signs of Down syndrome. Like, it just shows you, like, wait a minute, like maybe these conspiracy theorists are right, because the medical advice being doled out in the 1950s was like, why was anybody saying that? Like, what was wrong with just saying, we don't know? Like, we don't know. This guy can't talk properly. We don't fucking know. We don't know. Instead of coming out and saying, well, we've done some studies and looks like most of the moms are bitchy and the dads are, you know, in the trades. So
because they were doing studies that the government was giving them money for.
See, now you sound like a climate denialist. But it really does make you wonder, because those were the reasons. They weren't even close. Like they weren't even fucking close as to what the real causes were. It was like, it was all environmental and all sort of like, you know, your mom didn't hug you, and your dad wasn't around, and the child support wasn't much. But he was literally
Jesus
called
hates you.
retard talk. This kid
That's
is
insane.
retard talk.
That's insane.
And he overcame it, and now he's the president.
Good for him. I watched the Hillary documentary.
She really bitched it up in that one, didn't she? I have trouble watching it. I just saw the teaser.
What do you mean she bitched it up?
Well, just like the teaser, they make her seem like a bitch. She's like, oh, Bernie Sanders, everybody hates Burns.
Oh,
You know, like,
I like her before,
fuck.
and I like her more now. And
She's
it's just
smart.
like, huh?
She's very smart. Yeah, like she's very
She's
smart.
very
person.
smart, and she's very good at what she did. And her whole fucking life, she's been in constant. People have constantly criticized her from the time she was at first married to Bill Clinton till now. And it's like, she was criticized for Bill Clinton's actions when she was running for president, and it is infuriating. They're like, well, what about his infidelities? You can't talk to Donald Trump about grabbing pussies when you're letting your husband grab pussies. And it's like, she stayed with him so that he didn't lose the presidency and the next one. That's why she stayed with him and all this stuff. Oh, it got me all riled up. And I'm like, now I just want to see more and more women getting into politics. Because I didn't even like, even I found out that in the 90s, it was like there was 2 women in the government. I'm like, what? Like in the 90s?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Well, I mean, and you can imagine a lot of them saw what happened to Hillary, and they're like, I don't want that. Like, if
that's not true. At the end of the documentary, that's what they say, is like, so many women, she inspired so many women to run, because she went up against, there's no way Donald Trump should have ever beaten her in the real world. Like, in the real world, there's no fucking way that man should have ever won over a career politician that knew what she was doing and like had empathy in her veins. But
if Biden had run, he would have won. You know, Biden was the vice
because
president.
he wasn't fighting against all of this like feminine bullshit. Yeah.
But I think he would have beaten Don. Like, if Biden, he would have had the kiss of virtue from Obama. He was the vice president for 8 years, and now it's Joe's turn, and he probably would have beaten Donald Trump.
Yeah,
you know, because he didn't have, even though he does personally have baggage, Hillary Clinton seemed to be carrying way more baggage, half of it fake. Like, you know, what about Benghazi?
That's like, the other thing. Even they would come out and say there is no criminal activity, none of this is true, and people still are like, well, she eats babies at night. It's just fucking infuriating. Like,
what about the missing emails? 43,000 emails that we haven't had an opportunity to read. The public deserves to know what was going on between Hillary Clinton.
That documentary infuriated me. Like, just even more. Like, I'm like, we should not have had to deal with Trump for 4 years. We should not have had to do that.
They hated her. I mean, she became the conservative boogeyman because she thought like, oh, I'll handle, you know, pushing healthcare. Like, I'll be the front person for that. And then as soon as that happened, she's been villainized by the right ever since that moment. And it took hold because, you know, that's what's sad about it, is you're like, if she was just like Ivanka Trump hot, she would have been president, right? We're that shallow, where it's like, she looks like kind of a bitch.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's another thing.
Enough. That's enough.
Another
like,
thing
she looks like kind of a bitch, and so she's a bitch, and so she can't be president. But if she was like Ivanka Trump hot and as intelligent as she was, then people would have been like, hey, Benghazi, who cares about fucking, look at the Benghazis on her. They wouldn't have given a shit about all of her baggage, you know, like, she stayed with Bill for the country. She could have had anybody. Look how hot she is.
Yeah, it's just, it's insane. It's like the world could be a different place right now if it wasn't for that bullshit. And then they were talking about like how when she ran against Obama, like people just kind of forgot about, because there was an African American man, and they were like, no, we want this to happen. I don't care if a woman's running. Not that it's a bad thing, but the way they, you know, they didn't give her, and the whole bitch thing. Oh my god, like the jokes, the bullshit, like no one's gonna want, like they were on the news being like, no one wants a woman who's gonna be nagging and nagging. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, it's not that much different for men, really, in terms of like, of course, it's harder for women to win right now, but Joe Biden, right? Like, look at Biden. I mean, every joke is dementia. You got dementia, you old fuck. You're not going to live 4 years. You're going to die and you're dumb. Like, anybody who runs is turned into this fucking horrific beast by whoever their enemies are.
Yeah.
No, like you're 78, you're hanging in there, you're trying to do your best, and everybody online, even the people who voted for you, are like, yeah, I mean, he's almost dead and he can't really string any words together because his brain looks like a piece of strung cheese. Yeah. But I voted for him. And you're like, this is who I represent. These are the people that want me to be president, people that like just can't give me a minute.
Well, this is how America is not going to get any better anytime soon, because everybody on the left is still like, oh, I wish we had Bernie. I wish we could have had Bernie. It's like, you guys got what you got, and you better be happy that you got what you got, and you don't still have Trump as your president. Like, stop this, Bernie, like, stop. Just like, you got a president, back him, or you're going to end up with another, my dog is eating my cat.
On Bernie, I mean, have you seen Bernie interact with a black person? Like, it just looks weird. Like, you know, a lot of it comes down to aesthetics, right? It's like Hillary didn't look good. Joe Biden, when he hangs out with black people, other black people go, hey, that's a guy just casually hanging out. I can get behind that. Bernie is like, hello, you're not different than me. You know, like, he just looks like, I shouldn't. What do you think about low-income housing, Bernie? And he's got the best answers for them, right? Like, his solutions are the best solutions, but he just comes off as this sort of like, I'm not from around here.
Yeah, that's a person who lost everything based on image. He just looks a little bit too like your crazy uncle that has all these great ideas, but he can't really, like, yeah, beer should be free for everyone, and let's decriminalize cocaine. Like, okay, I'll go out and say those things, but can he actually do those things?
I can't. I was okay. So my plan is I'm going to be either a garbage man, or maybe like Tim Hortons. Could that be?
No, don't work at Tim Hortons.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
No.
Huh.
Go work at the Home Depot.
What station would you work at? Like the cash, the grill?
I would probably be like, I'll do drive-through. Give me a headset. I've got some improv in my background. I know what I'm doing.
Finally, hands-free comedy for you.
Finally, hands-free comedy at Tim Hortons. When nobody wants it, you're doling out jokes, and everybody's like, yeah, come on. Like, I was at a drive-through today, and it was the funniest thing. There was this guy. He pulls up to the drive-through next to mine, and as soon as he pulls up, he goes, "Hey!" And I was like, "Fuck, is he looking at me?" But he was like talking to the speaker, like as if that's the limit of his understanding of technology. Is he thinks that you pull up and go, "Hey, I'm here."
He wanted to be first. Was it one of those 2-speaker ones?
Yeah, it was a 2-speaker.
He wanted to order before you.
Well, maybe, but it was just.
That's 100% what it was. Those 2-lane drive-throughs are a recipe for disaster. Because like people just want to be first, right? And I've seen fights before where someone goes when they're not supposed to go. Like, I've seen it before.
I can cook. Maybe I would cook at Tim Hortons, like do the sandwiches or something. They have really good bread.
You are so funny. You clearly have not had like a service industry job ever.
I worked in McDonald's for a lot of years.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
It's funny too, because I've actually learned to cook during the pandemic. That's like the only thing that's happened that's positive, is like, I'm like, hey, I can cook curry. Like, I can make.
How did you learn?
Well, what I because I always thought like being a cook was like a magic trick. Like if you could cook well, it was like, holy fuck, like that person can make delicious food. Like they're a wizard. Like I thought it was like this really, and then what I realized from like watching videos and reading recipes for the first time in my life is that it's just cream. That's it. Just put cream in it. I didn't know that. I thought cream was for coffee. I didn't know it went in food. So I just started putting cream in everything, and people were like, "Fuck, is this good?" And I'm like, that's a lot of fucking cream, man."
My cream bill has gone through the roof, but I learned how to cook.
I'm making stuff that tastes really good, and I'm killing everybody. Everybody that eats it's gonna die way earlier because of my cooking, and no one has to know how much. Like, this is good. Like, yeah, it's got an entire brick of Philadelphia cream cheese, or it's got 4 liters of whipping cream. Yeah, there's 4 liters of whipping cream in that butter chicken. That should be good. You should find that quite tasty, because I'm going to tell you something. It's fucking basically dinner ice cream in terms of its caloric content.
Ice cream. Oh my God.
Are you enjoying your hot dinner ice cream? Because I really fucking loaded that sucker up with 10 liters of milk, you know? So now I don't respect, I don't respect chefs anymore. That's what it's done. Whenever I eat something tasty now, I'm like, yeah, I'd love to know how much fucking cream is in this.
You should respect bakers.
Yeah. Why do
it's way harder to bake than it is to cook.
Didn't it just to have a feel for when to take it out of the oven?
Well, no, you have to be very exact and precise with baking. Like if you have too much of this, it doesn't work. If you have too little of that. Like in cooking, you can experiment and like just throw a bunch of shit in and see if it works. And it usually works. But like in baking, you have to be like very precise.
And old people.
I bought a cake decorating turntable. I don't know why. I don't need to make cake, but I want to use it. But I don't want to have a cake in my house.
You got 2 cake decorating turntables and a microphone at home. Your bake back. Good for you. That's awesome. Do you ever make any cakes?
Well, I haven't since I got the turntable because I'm scared. I don't need to have a whole cake in my house for myself. I'll eat it all.
That's okay. You're allowed to eat a whole cake.
Oh, am I?
This is the tail end of the pandemic, Kathleen. Milk it.
Yeah, I guess that is right. We're not going to be able to just stuff our faces and get drunk and high all the time.
Or just have like a needle-shaped cake that you can fucking eat, you know? Did you know that it's not a vaccine? It's human gene changing age juice. Human change juice. I can't believe you put that fucking human change juice. It's funny. I was looking online and somebody's like, letting your children wear a mask is child abuse. And I'm like, that's the planet I want to fucking live on, is just living on that planet for a while, you know?
And most likely the people that say that are child, like abuse their children. There's a very high chance that that person slaps their child.
Yeah, it's weird. How many people do you still think hit their kids? Like, it's way down.
Because they have cameras now. You know, like Kellyanne Conway's daughter is like putting all these videos of her yelling at her online right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like on TikTok, she puts them on, and it's like Kellyanne Conway saying, "You little bitch," and blah blah blah, and like telling her she's worthless and all this stuff. And now she's like, "I need to get out of here." Like, that's why you can't do that anymore, because all these kids are recording their parents now. Like my mom broke a hairbrush on my ass once. If I recorded that, I would have been taken away.
How old is Kellyanne Conway's kid? She's fucking in compression socks, that old bitch.
She's like 15.
How the hell does she have a 15-year-old kid?
I think that she looks a lot older than she really is. Like she looks like she's in her 60s, but I think she's in her like late 40s, early 50s.
Really? Because yeah, she looks like, look out. Yeah, she's got an older lady look to her.
Yeah. That's because she's probably a smoker and she tans a lot. So she looks like a shriveled up.
Have you ever seen the aisle in the grocery store that's for old people?
No.
The one that's right by the blood pressure machine. In every grocery store, they have like an aisle for old people right by the blood pressure machine every time you go. And it's just like canes, compressions, everything to hold your body. It's all these things to hold your body together. Like here's something that keeps your chest up. Here, like it's all compression. Like it's all about like Here's a girdle. Here's some compression socks. Here's a fucking straight jacket.
I love it. Old people aisle.
They do have the old people aisle down there. Old people
You know
don't
what-
get any. What's that?
Do you know what really made me mad this week?
Yes. What?
The wind.
Oh.
I was so angry last night. I was like, why are you doing this to us? Like, it was too windy. Shit was blowing around my
My
yard.
parents' fence fell down.
Oh my
What?
God.
What a poorly constructed fence that is.
It was old. It was old.
Oh, was it?
Wasn't
Okay.
it
Okay.
windy in good old Fort Saskatchewan?
Oh no, it was windy, but I'm one of those people where it's like, is this what we're doing now? We're complaining about wind. 'Cause, you know,
I
like,
was so angry.
fuck, is it windy? You know, like everywhere. Fuck, was it ever windy last night? Like, yeah, it was windy. Yeah, air
But
moved.
it was so
Get
annoying.
over it. It
It was
wasn't.
like howling outside my window.
Didn't one of the silver balls fall off?
Oh, off the Talus balls?
Yeah, my son was telling me that one of the Tellus silver balls fell off. It was so windy.
That's funny.
I don't know. It was too windy and it was very infuriating. And Adam I think I was more mad because of this situation that Adam has put us in the backyard. At the end of the summer, he like stacked a bunch of furniture on top of each other and hastily wrapped it in a blue tarp and was like, that's where it's going to be all winter. And then the tarp started falling apart and falling off. And I'm like, can you like take some of this stuff inside or do something like, let's get this furniture mounted out of here because it's going to go falling down.
Is it like
And then-
indoor furniture, like couches?
No, they're like patio furniture.
Oh,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
your outdoor stuff. He put it in a
Yeah.
pile and just wrapped it with a tarp very badly. So it's still in the backyard and the tarp is half off and it's like blowing in the wind and stuff is flying everywhere. So I was just mad about that, I think, more than the wind. I was like, this fucking pile of shit. And now I'm going to have to clean this all up.
I like the fact that like you're like, you know what's really angered me this week? And I was thinking it was going to be like some big picture thing. And you're like, it's the wind.
It's
like-
the wind.
Yeah, that is white privilege in a nutshell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I also don't want to think about the shittiest problems in the world right now.
No,
I just don't.
it's
I'm
more
so
fun to
tired of
focus
it.
on the wind, you know, like, fuck, is it windy? I just love the way people talk about the wind like it's some mystery, like, fuck, is it windy?
And then all the people
That's-
from
have you- is this
Newfoundland.
I think this is the windiest it's ever been. I've never seen wind like this.
And then
Yeah,
all the
I
people from
agree.
Newfoundland were like, this isn't windy. You guys are all pussies.
Oh, it was so windy, it knocked things over and down and around.
There was a trampoline in a tree.
Was it really?
There were trampolines all over the streets. Like people's trampolines got lifted up and blew away.
Ours probably would have come through our kitchen window and just killed me. That's how I
I'm
go
surprised
out.
nobody died.
Fuck, is it windy? It is windy outside. So what do
Yeah,
you
that's what I hated this week.
no, so you're hunkered down, bunkered down by yourself. Just two dogs and you.
And 2 cats. But Adam gets back next Tuesday.
Oh yeah, I was watching true crime shows and I was thinking like, this is my advice to anybody. If you are ever in an interrogation room and one of the officers offers you like an indoor cigarette, you're a suspect. Like they're not
An
just
indoor cigarettes.
Yeah,
like, honestly,
who got an
if
indoor
somebody-
cigarette?
Well, in every one of these, you see like a guy sit down and he's like, what is this about? And they're like, we're just trying to rule everybody out one at a time. And then they're like, hey, you want to smoke? And the guy's like, yeah, I guess so. And then, you know, he starts like, well, okay, I killed the third one, but you know, like they loosen up because they're allowed to smoke. Like no one would ever let you smoke inside unless they thought like, this guy's a murderer. Let's get him settled down here.
Yeah.
Let's let him smoke because he's never leaving.
Right. He's not.
I was
walking
really into watching those interrogation videos like 2 weeks ago. Like I was watching so many interrogation videos just because it's kind of interesting. But I've moved on to watching documentaries about mass shootings. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just keep watching the most horrible things possible.
What's your favorite mass shooting?
Well, I gotta say the Vegas one was pretty
That was cool. That was a good one.
pretty spectacular.
That was a good one. Country music concert, you know what I mean? Like it's a country music concert and you're in a hotel like, you know, a mile away.
It's kind of ironic that it was a country music concert because a lot of people that like country music also like guns.
Oh yeah, they would have been like, "I'll kill him," and it's like, "Sorry, man, I'm a mile."
But
off."
I think it said that he was supposed to be there the week before, but something changed. So and there was like an EDM musical festival there the week before.
Oh wow.
So can you imagine if he shot up a rave? Jesus.
Those people would have reacted way differently. Like they would have scattered. They would have meth scattered. Like, like he probably would have only killed 3 of them. Like the rest of them would have been just hopped up on meth and run.
Yeah.
Like country music people hear a gunshot and they're like, "What the?"
They all thought it was fireworks.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. You're in Vegas.
Yeah.
You hear pop, pop, pop. It's like, oh, fireworks.
Oh yeah,
And then
another fireworks show. Why is everybody around me on the ground?
Yeah.
Oh, no. This fireworks display sucks.
That one was a creepy one. That was a crazy, that one. And then also that Pulse nightclub shooting. That was sad.
Where was that in Florida?
That was in Orlando. It was a gay club. And this guy went in and shot it up. And then they couldn't find him. And he kept calling 911 and saying like some sort of like, I'm doing this in the name of, like, and it was really creepy. Like really creepy.
They always have a reason and it's always dumb. That's the worst part is like, we always want to know why murderers did it. Like, you know, why did you, as if there's ever going to be like a cogent answer, like as if we're ever going to be like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, he had to. I mean, after hearing that explanation, this guy needed to kill all of them. You know,
well, the Vegas guy didn't have a reason. Like everyone that knew him where they were like, he was a millionaire. He had a great life. There was no reason for him to do this. Like his brother was like, I don't get it. It's like, I don't get it at all.
Yeah. And he wasn't a conspiracy guy and he just like nut job, you know, like it was just very weird. And then he got killed, right?
He killed himself.
Oh, he killed himself.
Yeah.
Always
That's
say
it's just crazy. Like there's so many crazy things in and it's so weird that people can just snap.
Well, yeah, that's what makes you sort of identify with it, where you're like, I wonder how close to my breaking point I am.
I've thought that like all week when I'm watching these serial killer movies or I'm watching these mass shooter documentaries, and I'm like, holy shit, am I gonna snap and do this? And then they're gonna look at my YouTube search history and be like, oh, she watched serial killer documentaries for 2 months straight.
She's been prepping the entire pandemic.
I don't know why I'm like I don't know why, like I've stopped. I've just been on YouTube just watching the most crazy, like horrific things that I don't know why. Like I try to watch like a comedy and I'm like, this is awful. And I'm like, I want to watch something about murder. I want to see some people cut up. Like I don't know what is wrong with me right now.
It's like I don't watch any comedy because like we've done comedy long enough to know that laughter is no medicine at all. You know, like laughter isn't the best medicine at all. Like what kind of laughter? Like maniacal? There's no medicinal value in maniacal laughter.
Laughter's the best suppression.
Yeah, it's not medicine. It doesn't do anything for you. So you're better off watching serial killer stuff than like, you know, like I watched this show and it was so funny. Like, so what? That's like saying it was windy outside. It was just, fuck, was it windy? Fuck, was that funny? It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. We should just keep watching murder things. Yeah. We should make like a fake murder one, you know what I mean? Like some kind of, we'll never do it. So there's no point in even bringing it up.
There is like a fake podcast that's like Serial. It's like, This sounds serious. I think I've talked about it before. It's really funny. But yeah, I don't know. Have you watched the Night Stalker documentary?
Which one is that? Is that the guy? Is that the Golden State Killer, or is that a different guy?
No, the Golden State Killer. He was like the guy that strangled, and he got caught when he was like in his late 80s. Richard Ramirez is the Night Stalker.
Oh, a Latino.
He's like, look, Google a picture of his face. Like, I don't know, Jim, if you can Google a picture of his face and like hold it up to the camera, especially when they have his eyes and they are black. Like he looks.
What did he do?
he murdered, like he would just break into women's homes, and if their husband was there, he'd shoot the husband in the head, and then he'd rape and murder the woman, and like he just kept doing it, and they couldn't catch him, they couldn't find him, and he was just randomly just going in, and no rhyme or reason as to why he picked who he picked. He just was killing people, and it was like
eventually they're going to run out of these stories to tell, right? Oh, he looks kind of cute. Oh,
and that's the other thing. That's the other thing is, so when he got caught, there was like a lot of women that started like sending him nude photos in prison and being like, "Oh, you're so sexy," because people are so fucked.
Yeah. No, they're gonna run out of stories to tell eventually, because those things don't really happen anymore. Like everybody's got a camera on every door. Like you couldn't kill 50 women anymore, or 40 or 30. You could just do one.
Everybody talks about Big Brother being a bad thing, but I don't think it's always a bad thing. Like we're catching things faster now because people are getting caught. Like the guy Chris Watts I don't know if he would have been as caught. Oh, and he had fucked up teeth.
Jesus Christ, he looks like.
Can you imagine that in your bedroom?
Oh
man.
And you're just like, but the thing was, everybody was complaining that documentary was really gory, and they were showing pictures that were like a little bit too graphic. But I remember I was watching it, I'm like, it's not that bad. But then I'm thinking about like how I'm okay with this. Like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, it's like anything else, where if it was somebody that you knew, it would take on a completely different feel, right? Like we're removed enough from it to be like, oh, this is an interesting story, I can eat popcorn too. But like as soon as you knew somebody who was a victim, you'd be like, I will not watch this documentary.
Yeah,
I cannot watch this.
It was it's really good. And then there's another documentary about a kid that was abused and eventually killed, and it was sort of like it was his trial, and it talks a lot about how bad like the social system is, and like the social services system is in America, because they kept coming and they didn't do anything about the abuse. They just were told, oh, he's lying, so they believed that. So eventually this poor kid gets killed, tortured to death and killed. But then I'm watching this and I'm thinking, you know what, like that's how a serial killer is born. You lock him in a cupboard when he's growing up. You abuse him. Like that's how pedophiles are born. They're usually sexually abused. That's how serial killers are born. They're usually like tortured as children. Like it's like, maybe it's a good thing that poor kid didn't have to live his life, because he might turn into another like scary person.
Well, and I like to feel like that's improved over the years, right? Like, you know, I feel like child services now, like if my kid sent a text to child services and said my dad's abusing me, and they came to my house and I just said he's a fucking liar, they wouldn't just leave.
I don't think this happened that long ago.
Really?
This is like, that's the main point of the documentary, is that these social workers, they were charged in the death. The social workers were charged with I can't remember the kind of charge, but like some sort of a negligence charge, and then it was dropped. But it's like, if you were a social worker and a kid you were watching eventually got murdered, should you be held responsible for that? If there was proof that like you had gone and there had been this and this and this and you never did anything about it.
Yeah. Well, the thing we'll never know is how many times a kid said that and was lying, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're a social worker, you see, this is something you see a lot, where kids just are pissed off at their dad one day, and you know, I don't know.
But I think like if you're a kid, like when I was a kid, I would threaten to run away all the time.
Did you ever run away?
What?
Did you ever actually run away?
One day I packed my bag and I walked across the street to the playground, and I hid in a cube for about 20 minutes, and then I went back home. But honestly, like when I was a kid, like I remember one time I told my mom, I'm going to call child services for you. And she's like, do you want me to get you the phone? Like, and then I'm like, then as a normal kid, I was just like, oh, I'm not being abused. This is stupid. I don't want to be ripped out from my family. Like I have a pretty good fucking life. Like, I don't think that there's too many kids that are going to lie so that they get thrown in the foster system. In all honesty, like, I don't think, like, maybe it might happen where the kid does it and then realizes, oh, no, I don't want to leave my family. But if some kid is like, I want to go somewhere else, like, you should listen to that fucking kid.
I don't know. How much is it? Because I think you get paid to be a foster family too, right? Like,
Yeah, you get like some sort of subsidy so that you can help them live. And that was a problem in America because a lot of awful people like Miss Hannigan from Annie they were getting money per kid and they were having all these foster kids, but they were like just awful. And so they had an even worse life than they would have maybe if they stayed with their parents. Like,
oh yeah, like now I'm living in a for-profit family, like, isn't this the best? Now I'm living in a place where they're like, hey, $800, get over here. I mean, Sean,
did you ever run away from home?
Well, I got kicked out of my first house when I was adopted. And then I think when you're adopted, you don't run away from home. Like, you don't want to bluff that, you know what I mean? Because you're used to being rejected. So
wait, were you how old were you when you were adopted?
I don't know. I was like a year old or something.
What? How do you kick a 1-year-old out of a house?
No, they always knew they didn't want me. So they were like, let's get rid. So I've told this story before. I was in an orphanage for like a while, right? Like,
oh yeah.
And then got adopted. So when you're adopted into a new family, you don't really run away. You tend to be like, I better not, no,
yeah.
I have a house now. I think I'm okay.
Do you hate the movie Annie because it glorifies adoption?
It glorifies. I just don't like anything that makes adoption seem cool. Either keep it or abort it. Don't fucking give it to a bunch of other people that might love you.
I would adopt a kid before I would have a kid.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Would it? I don't know. Come on.
Well, I don't want to first of all ruin this amazing body.
Yeah, you don't want to you don't want to take that train off the tracks.
Also, I'm almost 40 and my luck, I died during childbirth, right? My luck.
I like how we both sit here and act like we have bad luck.
Well,
no, in my luck, I'd have a perfectly healthy boy. Ugh. Gross.
I would much rather. Plus, I love that I adopted my dogs and gave them a better life. It feels good, so it would probably feel even better with a little kid.
What if you could get pregnant with a dog?
I don't ever want to be pregnant. I don't want to know what my body feels like. I don't want to go through morning sickness. I don't want to gain 50 pounds and then be expected to lose it 6 months after I have this baby.
Better lose it, bitch.
I've never had that in me that I'm like, oh, I want to be a mother. I just want to feel what it's like to become a mother. It must be a miracle and blah, 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 blah. No.
No, not blah, 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 blah. It is a miracle from Christ himself. Okay.
I put it, one of our so I've been taking clips from the show and I've been captioning them and putting them on TikTok.
Never show me the comments.
Well, we had like one of the TikToks I did was when you said, welcome to heaven, bitch. So it's that clip, which was very funny. But then I had said something like, well, heaven isn't fun. Heaven's full of losers. They're all loser Christians. And one person commented, yes, she really did just group a religion all into one person. And I'm like, yes, I did. And then another person put that's not how it happens. Like, that's what they wrote. So then I wrote under him, that's not how it happens. Like,
I just think if heaven was real and God cared about us, he would have, like, before we were alive, we would have spent 2 weeks in heaven on some kind of indoctrination training program to make things better on earth. Like, if there was a God who made us and loved us and we were going to be in heaven forever and he wanted everything to be great on earth, all he would have to do is be like, okay, it's 2 weeks before you're born, your soul's in heaven, and we're going to run a little indoc. And just to let you know, we're sending you to earth. You're going to be there for probably 80 years-ish. And then we're going to bring you right back to heaven here where you started out. And then things on earth would be great. We'd be like, oh, this is cool. Like, now I'm in a body for 80 years and get the fuck around. And then we all know we're going back up to heaven. Remember indoc? Yeah.
Do you think that, like, the younger you die, then the better person you are? Because God sees it like, I'm not going to leave him down in that terrible place.
Maybe God's like, get him out of there. And don't make it quick either. Give him a horrible disease that he slowly fades from.
That's another thing. Like, what God would create stuff like that? What God would create like what's the lesson to be learned from cancer?
It's just a God. Here's the thing. We think God loves us, like as if that's more likely that God loves us than God is just like has us down here marinating for a stew he's making. There's just as high a likelihood that God has us down here and we're just fucking fattening up to get thrown into a stew that God is going to make for when he's having other gods over.
Do you think that you would be part of a detox stew or a thick and creamy stew?
Thick and creamy. I would be a thick and creamy. God makes a delicious human stew.
Thick and rich.
Thick and rich, but not financially rich. I mean, hardening of the arteries is the kind of rich I'm talking about.
Do you think that it's weird that we never saw Barron Trump leave with the Trumps? Do you think that he's still in the White House? Because there were like memes today, like saying it was like Home Alone, like they forgot him, or like from Fresh Prince where he walks in the living room and it's empty. Like, but why didn't he live with them? Like, why wasn't he getting on that?
Melania, I'm sure, was like, like he will not be on television. Like there must have been a conversation they had.
You give Melania way too much credit. One of the things that bothered me so much is that people always made her out to be this poor victim, that she was kidnapped, that she was this actually great person. But like, it's been shown like throughout the years of it that she's a total cunt. Like, she's just an awful gold digging bitch.
That's what they said about Hillary. And now you're degrading another woman. How fucking dare you?
I just think it's so funny.
You think we shouldn't do.
It's so funny that this first lady that all of these religious people love was also a nude model.
Well, is there anything wrong with the female form, Kathleen?
Oh.
No, there isn't, but there is something wrong with pornography according to Christian law.
Christian law. That's a funny law.
But they're always the people that are
the
like...
third law of Christianity is... I forget. No, I'm not saying she's a bitch or not a bitch. I'm saying she probably told Donald, like, Barron is not going to be, he'll already be on the helicopter or the plane or what. Like, he's not going to be on camera.
I have high hopes for that kid. I have high hopes that he comes out and is just like nothing like anyone in his family. He comes out and he runs for the president, but as a Democrat. Like, I have high hopes for Barron Trump.
Unlikely, very unlikely.
I know it's very unlikely.
We thought that about everybody. Again, everybody gave Melania too much credit because she was pretty.
That's true.
So they were like, "Oh, she'll be a moderating force. She'll probably take care of him. Look how pretty she is. She's got to be a nice lady because of how pretty she is." And Ivanka, same thing. She'll be a moderating force. Look at how pretty she is. Like. Kushner,
she still thinks she's going to be president.
Who the fuck knows? I mean,
it's insane down there.
Who knows? It's insane up here too, Kathleen. You think Trudeau's any better? You think Trudeau's better?
I love Trudeau. I can't wait to vote for him again.
Oh my God. Well, some people just don't like working.
That is so true about me, though. I hate working. I really hate it.
That's why you love Trudeau. Fucking all you want is handouts. Well, some of us gotta go to the mine and pull your fucking money out of the ground, you bitch.
All you want is handouts. Now let me go and cash my CERB check.
You fucking bitch. I didn't have one day off during the pandemic.
No, I'm saying you're cashing. They're cashing anyway.
Anywho.
I'm scratching our ticket right now.
Oh, that should be a new segment on our show. We should each have to write a joke that a conservative comedian could tell. I have one.
Okay, go.
Because I think this could make us actual money. Is like selling jokes to conservative comedians, because they're the ones that are going to be making money coming out of this, right?
Yeah.
So the joke is, let's see. I have it written down here somewhere.
You came prepared? You did some research?
I wrote it down.
Oh my God.
But I can't. Oh yeah. So imagine you're a conservative comedian and you're at like a Trump rally doing some time before Donald Jr. goes up. You're like, hey, I heard you're not allowed to call them libtards anymore because of PC culture. Now we have to say they have an earning disability. Yes. Fuck you, libtard.
John, you should do a fake character, like from that basement, from that exact backdrop.
Yeah, and
you
we'll
should
just
be conservative comedian Sean the
Your little
Conqueror.
survivalist, like, I'm here in the basement.
Hey, any liberals in the audience? Good, let's talk about those fuckers. And then, I'll launch into
you
my
do this
opener.
for a TikTok for
Oh,
us?
sorry, you can't call. Sorry for calling them libtards. I know we're not allowed to talk like that anymore because of PC cancel culture. And now we have to say they have an earning disability because they're fucking lazy. And don't you think that would get the crowd going? And then I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, your first speaker of the evening, Donald Trump Jr. Don't you think that'd be good? So
I do.
So every week we have to write like a joke for a conservative comedian, and then we'll put together a conservative comedian set of 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then I'll do it. I'll be the conservative comedian and I'll pitch it.
Okay.
And we'll try to sell it to the Make America Laugh Again. So we'll just we'll be called Make America Laugh Again. And we
can Make America Laugh Again hats.
Oh, you will have mala hats. So we'll have our malas on.
Mala?
We'll have our malas on at all time. And all we do is just go up and like just make fun of liberals with little dicks. So you go up first and you do like, yeah, you guys ever seen a liberal with a big dick? Me neither. How come it's only conservatives that have huge dicks? I'll tell you why, because they know how to work. You can't grow a dick sitting on your couch eating Doritos and watching fucking old basketball highlights. So we can do that. I'll get a couple malas made up.
Okay, I want a mala hat.
Yeah, we'll get Jim. Jim, you will all wear our malas everywhere, and we'll write a really tight 15-minute conservative comedian set, and then I'll do it at a show, and tape it, and then put it online and see how many bookings we can get.
I think that this is one of the best ideas that you've had.
This is
gonna make us rich, you know.
This is gonna be good because that
this
joke
is gonna make us rich before this does.
Okay.
So
Did we win on that?
I haven't figured it out yet, but it's not looking good.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good.
Based on our win percentage, I'd say it's not looking good.
Yeah, our percentages are terrible. Yeah, no, we did not win. Another loser. You know what I thought we could do as our
is boring.
As what?
Being broke is boring.
It's really boring. I thought that we should make you watch one of the Real Housewives series, and we could talk about each episode. You could just watch one episode a week, because I want to know your take on a Real Housewives.
Well, what's the most recent season? Because there's no point in going back to like season 2 and then people are just like, what are they talking about?
Well, there's like different cities. Like you could do New York, you could do Beverly Hills, you could do Atlanta, Salt Lake
Budapest.
City. No Budapest. There's London.
Oh, yeah.
There's Vancouver. I actually met one of the Vancouver housewives. I was at the Sutton Place Hotel, and it's the one that's like a villain, and her name is Jody. And I remember meeting her in the bathroom, and I'm like, I love you. And then she was so nice. She wasn't a bitch like she's portrayed on television.
I mean, they love being recognized, right? Like, even if they are a bitch, when you could be the biggest asshole on the planet. If somebody recognizes you and that's the moment where you really shine, like, oh yes.
Yeah.
Somebody knows me. How are you? You know, the only person I ever saw say something shitty to a person complimenting them was, and this isn't celebrity, this is like just a comedian, was a guy named Pete Johansson, and he did a show and he did really well because he's very good. And then somebody came up to him afterwards like, hey man, you were really funny. And he's like, I fucking know that.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, that's just awesome. Just a fucking ball sack to be like, yeah, I already know that I'm funny, fuckface. To a surgeon and say, you're good at cutting. Yeah, I know, you fucking goof. That's the only time.
Ask Natasha Lynn Miles what season of any of them we should watch, because there's got to be like one that's like really, really good.
One of the best ones.
Yeah, and then we'll get you, because I would love to hear Sean LaComber's perspective on the Real Housewives of any of the cities.
I'd basically just be, that's why I try to stay away from Twitter, because it's really hard to like get involved in Twitter and read Twitter and then feel like you're capable of writing any joke, because everything's been done. Like every angle on every story has been done. And if you're reading it, then every time you read a new tweet, you're like, there's another avenue I can't go down. Otherwise I'm garbage,
But that's like a comedian.
My preference is to just be an ignorant hack.
Well, that's what everybody on the internet is now, though. That's what's kind of crazy about TikTok, is that you see somebody do this video and you're like, oh, that's so funny and creative, and then you see another person has done it, and then another person, and it's like one person figures out something to do, and then people just copy it, and then they get notoriety for it, and I'm just like, this is so weird. Like, no, like originality is not rewarded anymore.
And it never mattered, right? Like it never.
Well, it did kind of matter, at least
to a certain extent. Like it never mattered to the general public, No,
it's only ever mattered to people like comedians. Like, the fat Jewish or whatever, the guy who was stealing memes and wasn't crediting. And then all these comics were like, this guy is stealing my shit and he's getting rich because he's getting a big following and he's not crediting any of us. So then like all these comics started saying, oh, fuck this guy, don't follow him. And then he finally was just like, okay, I'll just credit you. And he's already got his following. He's already making tons of money. So he just puts who created the meme at the bottom, but he's already built his career on other people's ideas and talent.
Good for him.
I know. I mean, that's the way the world works now.
Him. You know what I mean? It's about time somebody made a goddamn dime in this industry. You can't meet. I mean, I know people that are really funny on Twitter, and you look and you're like, oh, they have like 4,000 followers, and that's that. And it's kind of all fake anyway, right? Like, let's say you had 240,000 followers. What would that even necessarily mean? Well,
like, you have to look at how many retweets and favorites they're getting. Like, if you have like 250,000 followers and you're getting like 10 favorites on a tweet, that person bought 249,000 followers.
Yeah. I've seen some like conspiracy theorist comedians on Twitter, and they'll post something and they have like 15,000 followers, and they'll get just everything they post, zero retweets, zero.
Yeah.
Zero. And then I'm like, well, why do I make fun of conspiracy theorists? Like, we've already put them, it's kind of like, just trampling on dead people. They're already, like they're already fucked.
Nobody listens to them. Nobody agrees with them.
It's got to be so hard, right? Like anywhere you go, it's like, oh, you're one of those idiots. Like, idiot. Do you have any idea how much shit I read? Like, fuck, imagine all that wrong reading. What a waste of reading.
Oh, I think that's why they hold on to their conspiracy so hard, because they read so much about it that they're like, well, I gotta commit to this now. I've read too much about the Earth being flat.
I have committed too much of my fucking time to reading about this. Nobody says do your research about any other thing either, other than like things you can't actually possibly research, because you're just not, like you just can't. You're never going to read that much. You can't catch up to somebody who's dedicated 30 years in 20 minutes. But so we lost another thing. But it doesn't matter, because we have a great idea.
We do.
Make America laugh again. The conservative show. Ma la ha 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 ha.
We should Google to see if a hacky American comedian has thought of this first, though.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. There's definitely of course, there's definitely going to be like something like that. Make America laugh again. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's a Make America Laugh Again tour.
Who's on it?
Make America Laugh Again tickets. Let's see. Make America laugh again. So we're already fucked.
That's okay. We'll still do it anyway. It's 2021. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, we'll do it on TikTok. Nobody cares who owns it.
Yeah. Who's on that tour?
Ticket City. Let's go. Make America laugh again. Okay, let me just get this. We offer a variety. Who the fuck is on this? Let's see. Make America laugh again. Ticket information. This is all just fucking stupid ticket information.
Oh, it's probably like a touring thing. Like it's not just the certain people. It's probably like
it would be.
Came up.
Yeah, it'd be conservative comedians. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this was the Trump organization owned this, you know?
Yeah.
And they probably just have like one black conservative who headlines it.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I gotta tell. So I was watching also on YouTube, I was watching America's Got Talent stuff, and I found one that was like Simon Laughs. So I'm like, okay, well, and it was all stand-up comedians in this one compilation. And the funniest thing and dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, do you know like how the show works at all?
No.
Well, you can get voted on, or they have this thing called a golden buzzer. And if I think each judge gets one per season. So if a judge decides they want to put you through to the finals or something, they hit the golden buzzer and you automatically go through.
Yeah.
But like, okay, I've seen it for like singers and stuff. Like, wow, that was pretty amazing. But when they do it for comedians, it's the dumbest and funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like a comedian just tells his regular old act, and then they're just like, you know what? I laughed so hard. And then they hit the golden buzzer and it all goes slow motion. And the comedian always falls to their knees and is just like, ah!
Yeah. Okay.
Stupid.
Okay, so it's called Make America Laugh Again tour. And on the banner, it says soon to be banned by Twitter. And then it says a conservative comedy show. Finally. And the headliner, there's a guy named Joe Brill, the lovable curmudgeon.
I'm sure that guy's.
A guy named Scott McAfee, who's wearing an infidel t-shirt. A woman named Gally Croup. Oh and God. Your headliner is Adam Yenser. And yeah, Make America featuring headliner Adam Yenser as our headliner. Good. Adam Yenser is a staunch conservative comedian and Emmy award-winning writer for the Ellen DeGeneres Show, where he stars in the recurring segment Kevin the Cashier, played by Adam. That's what it says. Where he plays a recurring segment called Kevin the Cashier, played by Adam. He has appeared on Conan, Fox Laughs, and the Greg Gutfeld Show.
Oh, wow.
He has written for the Oscars and been a freelance contributor to SNL's Weekend Update. Adam mixes sharp observational humor with uniquely conservative political perspective and was named Best New Political Comedian at Politicon in 2015. So relax, enjoy the food, and get your laugh on. That's the promo. So we just go head to head with these motherfuckers.
Why don't we do Make America Laugh Again Canada? You know, they just put Canada on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Make America. So maybe not laugh. What's another word for laugh? Make America smile again.
I'm sure someone's done that already.
It's kind of racist, but it's massa.
Keep
going.
Like, massa. Go until you get one.
Jesus, John. Why don't we do Make America Giggle Again, and then we can keep the MAGA name?
Right. Make America Giggle Again. Perfect. What were you saying, Jim?
I don't remember.
Oh, good. Yeah, Make America Giggle Again tour. Fuck, I
like it.
Well, I think they can't just own it all.
No.
All right, let's see. Wait, before we we could wrap it up anytime. We're basically barely talking. Make America Giggle Again. Make America Giggle Again. What? Unisex hoodie. Make America Giggle Again. Make America Giggle on Pinterest. Make America Giggle Again. Unisex hoodie. Make America Giggle Again. Oh no, there's a ton of them.
So we've already got merch.
There you go. Make
Okay.
America guffaw again.
Yeah. Well, there's something. There's so many words for laugh or smile, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's
So-
so many words for laugh or smile.
We're gonna do this. So every week, that's your homework. You need to write a conservative female joke
Oh.
making fun of Hillary. Maybe this week would be good if you found it, made a joke about Hillary Clinton being a bitch. That's right in your wheelhouse.
You know what happens when you don't please your man? He goes to his secretary.
Ben
That's not good.
Pussy. No, I don't know what that means. Who knows? Well,
Who
thanks
knows?
for being on everybody's podcast. Thanks for being on nobody's favorite podcast, Dead Baby.